Hello, beautiful people. February 2025 is packed. We're getting another Yakuza and a new civilization in that long-running franchise. For RPG fans, we have the long-awaited Avowed from Obsidian, the sequel to Kingdom Come: Deliverance, and my favorite, Monster Hunter Wilds. That game looks fantastic. While all these titles are worth getting excited over, there are some indies that might be overlooked that are coming out in the same month. Here's some that you might want to take a look at, if the big games I mentioned above might be out of your budget range. So sit back, open Steam, and let's start looking at some games. Rift of the Necrodancer is another entry in the series, but it's a bit different than the last. Instead, it's solely a rhythm game with some mini-games thrown in. It's more like if every note and Guitar Hero you hit also murdered a little monster. Visually it looks stunning, incredibly well-drawn art that is as vibrant as the music. There is a demo out to try if you don't know whether rhythm games are your jam, but be careful, you might get hooked. Hollywood Animal is not a game based on the much-beloved Rob Schneider film, luckily. Instead, it's a film studio management game. If you love micromanaging and numbers, then this is a game to keep an eye on. Set during the golden age of Hollywood, the style elevates the time period, showcasing the decadence and sheer brutality of the days of early filmmaking. Build studios, write scripts that keep the audience glued to their seat, hire actors, willingly or not, and make some movie magic. Hollywood Animal seems to have all the notes down for making a great management game. Weappy Studio is no stranger to management games being known for their "this is the police" games that push moral decision making to the extreme, so it's in good hands. The game is about making sure the film is done on time. Breaking a leg isn't just an expression here, it's an option. A sequel to one of the most infuriating games ever made. Jump King Quest takes the simple but incredibly difficult to master gameplay of the first and adds combat and multiplayer. This can only go well. If everything in your house is in pristine quality and you need a reason to go on a rampage, then Jump King Quest might be the game for you. It at least looks like it might be infuriatingly fun with friends, if you have any that can take a joke. It will be interesting to see how they can push this simple concept. The page and trailer talks about adding a leveling system, but what that means has not been disclosed. Also, the game has informed me that there is a smoking hot babe at the top. I don't know what that means, but knowing my luck, probably means she's on fire. Welcome Back Commander is a real-time strategy where you control a squad deployed to the city of Sunstone. A mysterious plague has transformed the residents into something else. Welcome Back Commander takes obvious inspirations from XCOM with its title, but reminds me more of another game. It plays more like the excellent Aliens Dark Descent, where you manage your squad, scour through some buildings for supplies and survivors. Expect to also fight off monsters with concentrated gunfire, hold the line during ambushes, and sometimes just get the hell out in one piece. If the game plays its cards right and has an engaging experience with troop management and survival, then it might be the hit of the month. If you love strategy games and intense combat, then keep an eye out. Metal Suits is an old-school platformer where you put on various robot suits that give you new ways to eliminate enemies. This looks great. The pixel art style and copious amounts of gore remind me of a great game that seems to have been forgotten. Broforce, an indescribably insane platform gunner that is just pure chaos and fun. And I'm not just saying that because it was made in my home country. Metal Suits seem to take liberally from that game. It even has the same copious amounts of explosions littered throughout the level, along with enemies just being bags of meat for you to slice up. I hope to see on release how much this game stands out compared to Broforce, hoping it at least matches that title in fun. This game has a cute frog with a giant sword on the cover. I don't know what else I need to say. Die in the Dungeon is a dice-building roguelite, where your dice serves as an attack, defense, and other forms of support. The game lacks the most satisfying part of playing with dice, which is furiously chucking them, but it's instead about the management of their numbers. Once the dice have been rolled, you put them on the board, trying to get combos and synergies to help you defeat enemies. The game takes a good amount of inspiration from Slay the Spire and other card-based roguelites, but the dice mechanic sets it apart, as combat feels more like a math puzzle sometimes. There is a prologue chapter if you feel like trying the game out before buying, but otherwise, something to keep an eye on. Injecting some fresh blood into the management game. Bar Tycoon has you running a bar for vampires. No Salma Hayek, sadly. Build the bar, hire some lower level vampires to manage things, capture humans, and milk them for that precious blood to serve to your patrons. It looks more like a spiritual sequel to a theme hospital of some vampire trappings. The game has a healthy sense of humor about itself. You also have to keep the bar secret, as you're under constant threat from vampire hunters, and the only tip they give is the end of a stake. The game looks like something great to sink your teeth into. Okay, I'm done. I'm done now. Sorry. I'm done now. Sorry. Developed by Digital Crafter, the company behind the meme-worthy Fight of Gods and Fight of Animals. Valkyrie Squad is their attempt at a survivor-like. So expect fighting off waves and waves of enemies, upgrading your base abilities, and a wide variety of characters to choose from. How Valkyrie Squad differentiates itself, though, is by having you choose 3 characters to play at the same time, each having their own attack pattern, so you want to find the best combo for yourself to deal the most damage. During levels, you also get upgrades and new weapons to help out with the tougher fights, like the bosses. The anime styling here is doing it for someone, and while the survivor genre is a bit overcrowded at the moment, playing 3 characters at once and having their attacks synergize off each other is interesting, and games in this genre are rarely not addictive. Blood Typers is an odd concept. What if Typing Up the Dead was a co-op multiplayer survival game? I'm personally in love with the visual style of this one. It has that dirty look that's so appealing to me. The studio's other game, Guilt the Deathless, looked very similar, and I enjoyed that game. The gameplay loop of typing for all actions is intense, but because it uses such a strange method for everything, it's possibly exhausting after a while. The game at least lets you set the level of your typing skill, so everyone can enjoy it. This is one of the stranger releases of the year, and hopefully it gets some more eyes on it before release. Another horror game, this time a bit more conventional. Slender Threads is a classic-style point-and-click from Blitz. You play Harvey, a young man uncovering the secrets of the small town Villa Ventana. Something supernatural is attacking the townsfolk, and you want answers. The game's visuals are wonderful, mixing that traditional two-dimensional drawn characters with 3D backgrounds. It's reminiscent of a darker Curse of Monkey Island in a way, or Broken Age. While the point-and-click genre has seen a great resurgence in the last few years, it's still a bit of a niche. Hopefully this title will appeal to its audience and reach further. Stray Path is another card-based roguelike, this time taking the mechanics from Free Cell. I get it, Balatro can only keep people's ravenous need for addictive card-based gameplay for so long. The game is about choice. Flip cards and decide how to deal with them. Keep enemies in the back until there are too many to ignore. It reminds me of Ring of Pain, but lacking the unique visual style, instead going for something a bit lighter. The game looks interesting, but I wonder how much attention it can hold in the long run. This looks amazing. The pixelated anime visuals are striking, and the blocking of characters and framing of stills, amazing. Urban Myth is an episodic-styled investigation game where you work with the director of the Dissolution Center to solve paranormal cases, from urban legends that haunt the streets to other oddities that need to be taken care of. Talk to people, some alive or dead, use divination to get to the truth, and find out what is happening in this ghastly adventure title. It reminds me of a more polished and focused version of World of Horror, where there are less choices but the consequences feel more real. Dawnfolk is a minimalist version of 4X games, where instead of spending hours upon hours agonizing over every choice, Dawnfolk takes a more laid-back approach. It's designed by a solo dev, Darren Keller, and I do love showcasing work of solo devs, and this one is interesting. I do enjoy the satisfaction of building an empire, but my daily life becomes shorter every year, so something this bite-sized but engaging sounds like something we all need. There are minigames here to break up some decision making, and that helps when an entire civilization depends on you. But it seems like the game is taking a bit more of a laid-back approach overall. I look forward to playing this, and hopefully not losing too many hours. I love this stuff, the weird games that appeal to no one visually but me. Morsels is a top-down action roguelite shooter. It's similar to Nuclear Throne or Enter the Gungeon, but with a visual style that feels like the lost sibling of Atomicrops. The gimmick, if I can use such a base word, is the morsels. You collect them like Pokemon and are able to switch between them. They each have their own abilities, health, and seem to be able to get unique upgrades or evolutions. The game looks like a blast. And if the gameplay loop is satisfying, upgrades worthwhile, and the difficulty not too head-breaking like some roguelites, it could be one of the best titles released this year. I don't like calling things this early, but it looks really good. The visuals are making me give this top marks before even giving it a spin. I hope you've been enjoying this video, and if you have, please give a like. And if you want more content about indie games coming in the future, why not give a subscribe? All it takes is one click, and thank you for watching. Now we continue. Stories from Seoul is something that fans of 80s anime and nostalgic visual novels will be very interested in. All 4 of you. The game looks gorgeous. It captures the older style of adventure games from the PC 9800, and while I've never played any of them, I have seen what they look like, and this game seems like it passes the vibe check, if that matters. You navigate the Gundog, a spaceship packed with characters that you need to talk to, while also going around the ship and investigating the various decks. Visually, this looks amazing. Between this and Urban Myth Dissolution Center, February is really a month of striking story games. Want to learn Japanese while playing a game? Normally I'd call you optimistic, but then I saw this. Shujinkou is a turn-based RPG where the combat can help you learn Japanese. Go through dungeons, beat monsters until you reach the boss, and then move on. If learning Japanese is a bit exhausting to you, there's an option to turn it off, but then that takes away the hook of the game. That's not to say it's bad. This is definitely some people's jam. Check it out if it looks good to you. Also, Swimsuit Quest DLC in the future. Let me just click. KAISERPUNK is grand strategy at its grandest. It brings collaboration between various big strategy genres into one full-fledged game. It kind of seems like buying an 18-wheeler when you just wanted a car. Excessive, but who's going to stop you on the road now? It looks incredibly ambitious, combining all these management sims into one game, while also not losing any of the smaller details. They all relate and affect each other, from the city building to political decisions. As you try to build your power, keep production going, and make sure materials reach the front line before it's too late. It seems expansive and very overwhelming at a glance, but also seems like a game you could lose hours to, or even days. Finally, an immersive sim for us to take a bite out of. Peripeteia. The name kind of swings me around. The game looks great. It has that retro visual aesthetic that feels lifted out of Deus Ex, but with an anime-style face on it that just takes us back to the peak of the 90s. The trailer showcases enough movement options to get from point A to Z, and the combat looks breakneck. While it only releases in early access first, I do look forward to giving it a spin. We can never have enough immersive sims. Here's a novel idea. A roguelite road trip. Yes, I know there have been others, but this one feels special. There's something about the innocuous nature of traveling by car, only to keep running into problems that present more difficult questions along the way. Pick up hitchhikers and hope to not get stabbed on your way to wherever, and solve problems on the road with an interesting turn-based combat system. At a glance, this game seems like it could be a slog, but the idea of all these mechanics and choices at your fingertips is exciting to think about. Also, nothing beats the open road on what looks like an old Nissan, like I used to have. Hey, now that we've looked at all the games, I wanted to list the ones that stood out to me and are my favorites. Blood Typers is such a strange yet compelling concept that I really just want to sit down for a few hours and try to parse it. If I can convince some friends to play with me, even better. But I like the dev's previous game, so I'm keeping my eyes on this. Now, if you know anything about me, I love the history of film and filmmaking. So playing a Hollywood mogul trying to get his film made at any cost possible, in a time when the silver screen was at its brightest, is a huge selling point to me. Also, kidnapping actors to have them star in your film is hilariously deranged, and I look forward to seeing what other options are available to me. Hoping I can bankrupt my studio by recreating Megalopolis. Keep Driving just looks like a swerve into insanity that I really enjoy in my games. Simple premise, but lots of options. And a random chance to make your time much more memorable. Also, if you're like me, the idea of managing space in a car is something you find secret delight in on family trips. So being allowed to do more than that once a year sounds like fun to me. I love the idea of taking giant gameplay concepts and just minimizing them, and Dawnfolk is really selling its concept to me. Letting me have bite-sized runs instead of needing to play an entire day for one scenario makes me look forward to spending time on this one. This could really be a big hit for the month, and we can never have enough great games from solo developers. I want to try all the different morsels and see how unique each one plays, and whether the game can keep things fresh. I want the whole dish here, not just the morsel. That joke worked for someone. February might be packed with big releases, but that doesn't mean we should ignore the smaller titles that make up the month, and I hope some of these stick out for you, and once you play them, they might end up becoming one of your favorites. What can I say? I'm an optimist. But thank you for watching and enjoying the video. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.